Have you ever had your whole day ruined by a single careless comment? Sometimes, it's just a passing criticism, a cold glance, or even someone cutting in front of you in line. These seemingly small things can be enough to make you upset and drain all your energy. But what if you could move through those moments and still stay calm? As if nothing ever shook you? No anger, no overreaction, no letting the little things drag down your mood. Sounds almost like a superpower, right? But in reality, it's a skill, the skill of emotional mastery. And you know what the best part is? You can train yourself to develop this skill. It's not something you're born with or something only monks have. In today's video, you'll discover 10 key lessons, practical tools that don't just help you stay calm, but actually take back full control of your mind and emotions. Chances are, you've had days where a single unpleasant comment ruined your whole plan. A tactless remark, an inconsiderate act, or even just an unexpected hiccup can leave you feeling off for hours. But here's the truth. No one really has the power to make you feel that way, unless you let them. So what if you could stay calm in every situation? No matter what people say or do. No matter what curveballs life throws at you. Imagine walking through the chaos of daily life with a deep sense of inner peace. You're no longer dragged around by anger. No longer reacting impulsively. Everything becomes clearer, lighter, and within your control. Sounds like a dream? It's not. This is emotional mastery. In this episode, we're going to explore 10 transformational lessons, simple yet profound principles that teach you how to respond with intention rather than react on impulse. You'll learn how to let go of anger, build inner strength, and most importantly, protect your inner peace from outside negativity. These lessons don't ask you to suppress your emotions or pretend not to care. On the contrary, they help you understand and handle your emotions in a mature way. So every time you face a challenge, you're not ruled by your emotions, you rule them. Whether it's facing criticism, setting healthy boundaries, or finally letting go of resentment you've held for too long, these lessons will give you real, effective strategies to live more peacefully, confidently, and powerfully every day. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand, you'll truly gain the mindset and practical tools to keep your mind steady, even in the most challenging moments. So, if you're ready to begin the journey of mastering your emotions, to live a life where no one and nothing can control your mood, then let's begin together. The journey to emotional mastery starts right now. And now, as you're ready to step into this journey, start with the most important truth. Your reaction is a choice. Picture this. You're having a peaceful day. It's a calm weekend morning. You're sipping your favorite cup of coffee. Gentle sunlight streaming through the window. Everything feels just right. Suddenly, someone says something rude, or does something inconsiderate. In a flash, your mood shifts. That calm disappears, and irritation rises. You think, why did they have to ruin my day like that? But here's the truth. They didn't ruin anything, you allowed it to happen. Your emotions are not controlled by them. No one has the power to determine how you feel, unless you give them that power. Try seeing it this way. Life will constantly throw challenges at you, big and small, but you are the only one who decides how to respond. A simple example. Imagine you're wearing noise-canceling headphones in a noisy city. The honking cars, yelling voices, they're all still there. But you're not affected by them. Your inner peace stays intact. Mastering your reaction is just like that. You don't let other people's noise disturb the calm within you. There's a powerful quote that captures this idea perfectly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Imagine you're driving, and someone suddenly cuts you off. Or a coworker unfairly criticizes your work. Your first emotional response might be anger or frustration. But instead of reacting immediately, if you pause, even just for a few seconds, that pause is where your true power lies. In that moment, you can shift your reaction from anger to calm. Here's a more specific example. During a meeting, a coworker bluntly dismisses your idea. Instead of snapping back or stewing in resentment all day, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, does this really reflect me, or is it just their stress, bias, or emotion talking? With just that shift in perspective, you soften the negative impact the situation has on you. Even more importantly, you realize that emotional control is not about suppression, it's about awareness. Anger, sadness, disappointment, these are all natural emotions. And you have every right to feel them. But you also have the right not to let them dictate your next move. So how do you start building this mindset in a simple, actionable way? Here's an easy 3-step strategy. 1. Pause and identify the emotion. When triggered, stop. Name the emotion you're feeling. I'm angry. I feel insulted. This small action breaks the automatic reaction and puts you back in charge. 2. Ask yourself the right questions. Why am I feeling this way? Is it because of what actually happened, or because of how I'm interpreting it? Sometimes, it's the story in our heads that makes things worse. 3. Choose your response. Base your action on your long-term values and the inner peace you want to preserve, not on a temporary emotional impulse. Now imagine a version of you, walking through life, untouched by others' reactions. A rude stranger? A careless comment? An inconvenience that messes with your plans? All of it becomes lighter, because you chose not to let it steal your peace. In every moment, you always have a choice. Either let others control your emotions, or reclaim your power and live with true freedom. And the next time someone tries to push your buttons, to make you explode, remember, your reaction is what defines you, not their behavior. Now that you've learned the first principle, that your reaction is always a choice, let's move on to the second lesson. Learning how to let go of what's outside your control. Because peace is also built on letting go. Let's dive into that. In the next part, have you ever been in this situation? You're always there when others need you. You listen, support, sacrifice your time, even your emotions. But when you need a few kind words, a moment of presence, they disappear. And then comes that familiar question rising inside you. How can they be so careless? If it were me, I'd never act that way. That feeling of disappointment is real. But there's a truth that's even harder to accept. People don't live by your standards. They don't share your perspective, your experiences, or your values. Expecting them to think, behave, or respond the same way you would is like expecting the sun to rise in the west. It only leads to one thing: recurring disappointment and emotional exhaustion. Imagine every person on earth walking their own unique path, shaped by their childhood, past wounds, priorities, and beliefs. So when someone does something that hurts or frustrates you, a harsh comment, a cold shoulder, most of the time, it says more about them than about you. And if you keep trying to change or control other people's behavior, you'll only fall deeper into frustration and helplessness. The more you focus on what they should do, the further you drift from your own peace. But when you learn to accept people as they are, it feels like taking a massive weight off your shoulders. Here's a simple example. You have a coworker who constantly interrupts you during meetings. The first time, you're annoyed. The second time, you start getting angry. By the third time, you think, I need to do something to make them understand. But wait, instead of stewing in resentment or trying to teach them a lesson, take a step back. Maybe it's just part of their personality, a long-formed habit, or even an unconscious behavior, not something aimed directly at you. When you let go of the expectation that they should change for you, you free yourself from the emotional spiral that you never had to carry in the first place. There's a well-known saying, all expectations are the root of suffering. The fewer expectations you have of how others should behave, the more peace you preserve within yourself. So, how do you start letting go of expectations? Here's a simple yet powerful exercise. 1. Acknowledge your expectations. When you feel hurt or frustrated by someone, pause and ask, what am I expecting them to do or say? What am I hoping for? 2. Challenge those expectations. Ask yourself, is what I'm expecting realistic? Is it fair to want someone to act like me when they're a completely different person? 3. Shift your focus. Instead of focusing on them and feeling let down, return to yourself. What can I do to respond calmly and protect my inner peace? When you apply this mindset, you'll realize something deeply liberating. Others no longer have the power to control your emotions. They might be careless, they might forget, they might act clumsily, but none of that needs to come at the cost of your peace. However, this doesn't mean you have to accept all negative behavior or abandon your personal values. It simply means you no longer tie your emotional well-being to how others behave. You choose dignity and calm over blame and frustration. So the next time someone disappoints you, gently remind yourself, they're living according to their nature, not mine, and that's okay. What I can control is how I choose to respond. Now you've gained another powerful piece of emotional resilience. Freeing yourself from unrealistic expectations. Once you've learned to let go of expectations, the next step on the path to emotional mastery is letting go of the need to always be right. Think back to the last time you got into an argument, maybe a small disagreement about which route to take, or a deeper conflict with a loved one. Remember that urge to prove yourself? That need for the other person to admit you were right, and they were wrong? We've all been there, clinging to our truth, like it's a lifeboat in stormy waters. But here's the thing. The need to always be right is exhausting. It drains your energy, creates tension, and often gets you nowhere. Worse, it can damage relationships, all over something that may not really matter. Many times, this desire to win an argument or prove, I'm right, you're wrong, comes from a deeper fear that being wrong somehow means you're less worthy or not good enough. Your ego feels threatened, and so you react as if you're in a battle you must win. But what if you let go of that need? What if, instead of trying to be right, you approached disagreements with curiosity, aiming to understand, not to conquer? Here's a powerful question to ask yourself. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be at peace? So often, chasing rightness brings nothing but stress, hurt, and distance. Imagine someone unfairly accusing you of something. Your natural instinct is to defend, explain, argue, prove them wrong, but pause and ask, is this argument really worth my energy? If I win, what will actually change? The answer might be, not much. Here's a simple example. A friend insists their way of doing something is better than yours. Instead of turning it into a battle, you could simply say, I understand your perspective and respect how you see it. That's it. No fight. You stay calm. The vibe stays light. The relationship stays intact. Most importantly, you don't let your ego take over. Remember, choosing not to argue isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's a sign of emotional maturity, of someone who knows how to choose peace over pride. You didn't lose, you won in a more powerful way. You kept your energy, your clarity, and your connection. Letting go of the need to be right doesn't mean abandoning your values or giving in. It simply means you know when to speak, and when to stay silent, when to stand firm, and when to step back, all in service of your peace. A profound teaching from Lao Tzu says, those who cling to their own views will never grow. Let that remind you, growth is knowing when to let go. So, how can you put this mindset into practice? 1. Pause before reacting. When you feel the urge to argue or prove yourself, stop, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is proving this really necessary? Will it actually change anything that matters? 2. Seek understanding. Instead of trying to win, try to listen. Ask questions to understand the other person's perspective. Sometimes, that alone can quickly diffuse the conflict. 3. Choose your battles. Not every disagreement is worth your time. Save your energy for the things that truly align with your core values, instead of wasting it on minor arguments. Over time, you'll start to notice something powerful. When you no longer need to be right all the time, you feel lighter, you feel freer, and you feel more at peace. Tense conversations no longer shake your emotions like they used to. You've learned how to stay grounded amidst the noise. You realize, your worth doesn't lie in being right. It lies in how you respond, how you carry yourself, and how you protect your inner calm. And next time you feel yourself stepping into an argument, pause. Take a breath, and gently remind yourself, being right won't make me happy, but peace will. So now, you've gained another key to emotional mastery in moments of conflict. But sometimes, the biggest enemy isn't out there, it's within. Once you let go of the need to always be right, you begin to feel a true sense of freedom in your mind. And to go even deeper on your journey to emotional mastery, you need to learn how to stop letting others define your worth. Imagine this. You just shared an idea you're truly passionate about, maybe in a meeting, maybe in a close conversation, and then someone throws out a sarcastic remark or a belittling comment. What's your first emotion? Hurt? Doubt? Suddenly, the confidence you had disappears like a candle snuffed by the wind. Why do just a few words carry so much weight? Because all too often, we let others decide our worth. A compliment lifts us up all day, but a single criticism, even if unfair, makes us question ourselves. That's when we've unknowingly handed our emotional control over to someone else. The The truth is, your value doesn't come from praise or criticism. It doesn't depend on how others see you, judge you, or approve of you. When you rely on them to feel enough, you've given away control and sometimes, even your sense of identity. True emotional freedom comes when you take that power back. Here's an example. A coworker criticizes your work, not constructively, but with a negative, personal tone. Your knee-jerk reaction might be anger, frustration, or rushing to defend yourself. But if you pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, that's just their opinion, it's not the truth about me. Then in that moment, you've protected your peace and stayed focused on what truly matters. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said something profound. I am amazed that we love ourselves more than others, but care more about their opinions than our own. We let outside voices judge our inner worth, and that's what makes us vulnerable. Now, this doesn't mean you should ignore all feedback. Constructive feedback is a gift, it helps us grow, see blind spots, and improve. But unkind, thoughtless negativity, that's not worth holding on to. So how can you stop letting others define you? 1. Pause before reacting. When someone says something that stings, stop, breathe deeply. That moment of pause is a shield. It keeps you from reacting impulsively and gives you space to respond with strength. 2. Separate truth from opinion. Ask yourself, is there truth in what they said? Or is it just emotion or bias? If there's value to learn from, take it. If not, let it pass like a gray cloud in a blue sky. 3. Reaffirm your self-worth. Remind yourself, my value doesn't come from recognition, it comes from within. Your talent, your character, your effort, none of these can be erased by a few careless words. Lao Tzu once said, care about what others think, and you will always be their prisoner. Letting go of the need for validation doesn't make you cold or disconnected. It means you no longer let your emotions be manipulated by words that don't serve your growth. And in doing so, you free yourself from one of the heaviest emotional burdens, judgment. So next time someone tries, intentionally or not, to shake your confidence, pause and ask, am I letting their words define me, or can I stand firm in what I know to be true about myself? In that very moment, you reclaim your power. You remind yourself, no one's words can lessen your value, unless you allow them to. True strength isn't about never being criticized, it's about staying calm, clear, and confident even when you are. When you stop letting others define you, you make space for authenticity, confidence, and true peace, and that's something no one can take away. Now that you know how to protect your worth from outside voices, let's talk about one more subtle force that can quietly steal your peace, the past. Remember this, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving without checking in on your own needs, sooner or later you'll feel drained, lost, and even resentful or distant from the very people you care about. Boundaries aren't walls, they're shields. They protect your emotional freedom and are the foundation of healthy, respectful relationships. Look at it this way, if someone keeps crossing your limits, it doesn't necessarily mean they're doing it on purpose. Maybe you've never clearly expressed where those limits are. People can't read minds, and if you don't speak up, they'll assume everything's fine. So setting boundaries is also a form of teaching. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. For example, maybe you're the friend everyone calls for advice, even in the middle of the night. At first, it feels like trust, but over time, you feel drained, sleep-deprived, like an emotional support hotline that's always online. Instead of staying silent and building resentment, you can simply say, I care about you, but evenings are when I need to recharge. Let's talk in the morning, okay? Just one calm and clear sentence, and you've protected both the friendship and your peace of mind. The philosopher Epictetus once said, freedom is the ability to live as you wish. Freedom isn't selfish. It means knowing where to place your energy, with the right people, at the right time, for the right reasons. So, how do you start setting boundaries effectively? 1. Be clear and honest. Express your limits calmly and directly. When people understand your boundaries, they're more likely to respect them. 2. Use I instead of you. For example, I need quiet time after work sounds kinder and more constructive than you're always bothering me. 3. Stick to your boundaries. A boundary that isn't upheld will quickly be ignored. Be consistent. It shows you take your own well-being seriously. Lao Tzu once said, He who knows when to stop avoids trouble. A boundary is that right moment to stop, to keep yourself from being pulled into energy-draining chaos. Remember, boundaries don't separate us, they protect our mental safety. They're bridges to more respectful, connected relationships. So next time you feel overwhelmed, taken advantage of, or stretched too thin, pause and ask, have I clearly communicated my needs? Am I honoring my own boundaries? Because if you don't protect your energy, who will? When you know how to set healthy limits, you begin to feel the true freedom of making intentional choices. But sometimes, the toughest boundaries to overcome aren't with others, they're with unreleased memories from the past. Blank. Blank. Once you've learned to protect your energy by setting boundaries, you'll realize another equally important truth. Don't let others' opinions steer your life. Imagine you're sharing an idea you're really proud of, in a meeting or a group conversation. It's something you've thought deeply about, something you believe could make a difference. But instead of support or encouragement, you get indifference, or worse, cold criticism with a hint of sarcasm. The disappointment is real, and suddenly, you start to wonder, was I wrong? Maybe the idea really isn't that good after all. In that moment, when your confidence starts to shake, you need to pause and ask yourself a simple question. Why does their opinion carry so much weight? Because deep down, we all have a natural need to be accepted, to be validated. We grow up in a world full of expectations, where our worth is often tied to external approval. And when we don't get it, we feel like something's missing. But if you live your entire life chasing the approval of others, you're just chasing a shadow, always one step ahead, never quite within reach. True emotional freedom begins when you detach from other people's opinions and understand that your value isn't defined by praise or criticism. Think about it. Everyone sees the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, pain, biases, and insecurities. So what they say about you, whether good or bad, often says more about them than about you. If you let those words take over your thoughts and control your emotions, you're letting someone else write the next chapter of your story. Why give them that power? Always remember this powerful truth. Your value is not up for debate. It doesn't rise with compliments, and it doesn't fall with criticism. It comes from within, unshaken by the noise around you. Here's an example. You wear a new outfit that makes you feel confident and radiant. A coworker glances over and says, "Interesting choice." Just a few words, but enough to trigger doubt. Now, you have two choices. Let it ruin your mood, or gently remind yourself, that's their opinion, it doesn't affect my joy. When you let go of needing approval, you become truly free to live as yourself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. It may sound harsh, but it's true. Real growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It comes from doing what others may not understand, from walking a path few choose. Seeking approval may keep you safe, but choosing your own path, even if misunderstood, brings real freedom. So how do you start detaching from others' opinions? 1. Question the source. When someone's comment hurts, ask, is this person really important to me? Do they have any real influence on my life, values, or purpose? 2. Reaffirm your inner values. Focus on what you believe in, not what others expect. Let your inner compass guide you, not the whispers of the crowd. 3. Practice letting go. When judged or criticized, acknowledge the emotion, but don't hold on to it. Imagine their words like leaves floating down a stream. You see them, but you don't have to pick them up. Lao Tzu once said, care about other people's approval and you will be their prisoner. Letting go doesn't mean rejecting all feedback, it means knowing how to filter it. Constructive criticism helps you grow. But shallow judgment? That's their burden, not yours. Imagine wearing a raincoat in the middle of a storm. The rain still falls, the wind still blows, but you stay dry. That's the image of someone who knows how to separate themselves from negativity, peaceful in the midst of chaos. And next time a comment shakes you, pause and ask yourself, am I living to please them, or to be true to myself? When you learn to filter out the external noise, you reclaim your true freedom. But on this journey of emotional mastery, there will be moments when you're provoked, insulted, and your first reaction is usually anger. So, what would happen if, instead of getting angry, you chose silence? Once you learn to detach from others' opinions, you're no longer pulled into the whirlwind of judgment. And one of the most powerful tools to maintain your calm in such moments is silence. Picture this. You're in the middle of a heated argument. Tension is rising. Someone throws out a provocative line, maybe even a public insult. Your heart races. Your face feels hot. Emotions boil up. And your instinct is to fire back with something sharp, to defend yourself. 2. Put them in their place. But what if, instead of reacting, you chose silence? It may sound counterintuitive, but silence is a powerful form of response. It's not weakness or avoidance, it's a deliberate choice between peace and chaos. Silence doesn't mean you lost, it means you're strong enough to know what's worth your energy and what isn't. There's a simple but profound saying. The less you respond to negativity, the more peaceful your life becomes. When you stay silent, you send a silent but powerful message. I won't let your behavior dictate my emotions. Here's a real-life example. During a meeting, someone tries to embarrass you with a cutting remark in front of everyone. You could react, escalate the situation into a verbal battle. But if you pause, stay quiet, and simply observe, you've just denied them the reaction they were fishing for. And you've held onto your composure, something not only you notice, but everyone else does too. The Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." Why? Because anger is like a fire, it needs fuel to keep burning. Silence is the act of cutting off that fuel, and the fire burns out on its own. Think of silence as a shield. It makes no sound, but it protects you from the emotional arrows flying your way. It keeps you out of the chaos while maintaining your power and clarity. So how can you practice this habit of responding with silence? 1. Pause before reacting. When provoked, don't speak right away. Take a breath. That moment of silence gives you a clear view of what's really happening. 2. Listen without defense. Sometimes, people just want to vent. Let them speak. Don't interrupt. Don't correct. Let their storm pass through like wind across a calm lake. 3. Speak only when necessary. If you must respond, speak calmly, briefly, and purposefully. Don't react, respond. There's a powerful Buddhist teaching worth remembering. Only speak if it improves upon the silence. This doesn't mean you suppress emotion. In fact, it's the highest form of emotional intelligence. You choose when and how to express your feelings. Instead of letting them control you. Think back, how many times have you regretted words said in anger? Silence protects you from things you'd later have to apologize for. It gives you space to reflect, assess, and, if needed, respond with wisdom, not impulse. And sometimes, silence says more than 1,000 words. So next time someone tries to provoke you, push your buttons, or attack you with words, ask yourself, will reacting help me, or will it just rob me of my peace? If it won't bring value, then the best response is silence. Remember, silence isn't the absence of a response, it's the presence of wisdom. It's the moment you stand strong, not by shouting, but by staying grounded. It's when you say to the world, your words don't define me, my peace does. And once you master the art of silence, you'll find yourself not only less reactive, but far clearer in how you face every situation. But sometimes, the anger doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within, from the stories you tell yourself. Let's move into the next part to uncover a powerful truth. You are not your emotions. A simple example. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important appointment. You feel tense, frustrated, annoyed, but instead of letting your anger boil over, take a deep breath and think of 3 things you're grateful for in that very moment. Maybe it's, you have a car to get around. You have somewhere meaningful to be. Or simply, you're listening to your favorite song, and it's calming you down. Even just a little. It may seem small, but just that tiny shift in focus can completely transform your emotional state. The philosopher Cicero once said, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others." Gratitude builds resilience. It increases patience. It helps you focus on what truly matters, instead of getting lost in things that don't. Think of gratitude as a new lens, one that lets you see challenges not as enemies, but as opportunities to grow, or reminders that things could always be worse. Another example. Someone harshly criticizes you. You feel hurt, but instead of letting the negativity take over, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for in this situation? Maybe it's, I'm grateful for the chance to see my own blind spots. Or simply, I'm grateful I stayed calm and didn't lash out. This doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. It means you take back control of your emotions, instead of handing that power to someone else. A gentle reminder from the Buddha puts it beautifully. Let us rise and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. If we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. If we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. Gratitude shifts your focus away from what's lacking toward what's present. It doesn't ask you to fake a smile. It doesn't ask you to ignore pain. It simply asks you to choose what lifts you up, not what drags you down. Next time anger begins to rise, pause. Take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? You'll see, that one question gives you the chance to step out of tension and into peace, clarity, and control. Because in the end, peace isn't something you find, it's something you create from within. Blank. Blank. After learning to soften anger with gratitude, you begin to build true inner strength. And as that strength grows, you become ready to face one of the most triggering challenges of all, criticism. Imagine this. You've just shared an idea you're deeply passionate about, maybe during a meeting, a heart-to-heart conversation, or even a carefully written social media post. And then, someone, perhaps someone close, perhaps a total stranger, immediately responds with harsh criticism. Blunt, cold, no kindness. Your first reaction? Maybe it's hurt. Maybe it's defensiveness. Maybe it's just plain anger. And all of that is perfectly normal. But what if you paused and asked yourself, even though this hurts, is there something of value in their words? What can I learn from this? Instead of letting it drag me down? If you can do that, then you've just transformed criticism from a punch into a step forward. Criticism, even when clumsy, tactless, or aggressive, can still be a tool for growth, if you know how to receive it wisely. Harsh words might reveal blind spots you didn't see. They might challenge outdated thinking, or push you to raise your standards. And when you shift your mindset, criticism stops being a personal attack and starts becoming fuel for self-development. Let's take a specific example. You're preparing an important presentation. A colleague tells you the structure is confusing, and the message unclear. Your ego stings. You might feel they're trying to sabotage you. But if you pause and ask, is there any truth to what they said? What part could I improve? Then you've just turned that criticism into a launchpad for progress. Here's a profound quote. Criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish growth, not so harsh it uproots. Of course, not all criticism is valid or worth your time. Some people criticize out of jealousy, misunderstanding, or their own unresolved issues. The key is knowing how to filter. Keep what's constructive. Let the rest pass like wind over a calm lake. So how can you receive criticism with wisdom? 1. Pause before reacting. When you hear criticism, don't jump in defensively. Breathe. That pause gives you space to respond with reason, not emotion. 2. Consider the source. Ask yourself, who is this person? Do they truly want the best for me? Are they speaking from understanding or from judgment? 3. Find the lesson, even in the sharpest words. Ask, is there anything in here I should reflect on or improve? A more personal example. A family member gives a negative comment about your lifestyle or career. You feel hurt, but instead of arguing or shutting down, you respond calmly. I hear you. I'll reflect on that. A simple sentence, but it shows maturity. It protects the relationship, while giving you time to process things thoughtfully. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus had a witty but powerful reminder. If someone speaks ill of you, don't defend yourself. Just say, they don't know the rest of my faults, or they would have said more. It's a line that's humorous, humble, and strong, reminding you not to personalize every judgment. Criticism, when seen wisely, is a mirror. It might not show a perfect reflection, but it helps you see what you couldn't on your own. And growth always starts there. Remember, real growth is rarely comfortable. It comes from friction, discomfort, and the courage to face truth. So next time you're criticized, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Does this reflect more about me or about them? How can I become better because of this moment? As Lao Tzu once said, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. When you receive feedback with an open heart, you're building resilience, humility, and an ego strong enough not to be shaken by judgment. Criticism, when you no longer fear it, becomes a companion on your journey of growth. It's not a boulder blocking your path, it's a stepping stone helping you walk with more confidence. And when you learn to welcome criticism as a tool for self-improvement, you'll reach a deeper truth. You are not your emotions. Once you understand how to turn criticism into growth, the final and most profound lesson is this: mastering the art of letting go. Picture yourself holding a burning coal, full of anger, resentment, pain, just waiting for the right moment to throw it at someone who hurt you. But the longer you hold it, the more it burns your own hand. That coal doesn't scorch anyone else. It only hurts you. Feelings like rage, regret, and vengeance don't destroy others, they consume you. They drain you, wear you down, and trap you in a cycle you were meant to release long ago. Real strength isn't about holding on. It's about having the courage to let go. And more importantly, letting go doesn't mean denying your pain, or forgiving what feels unforgivable. It simply means releasing yourself from the emotional burden that no longer serves you, so you can be lighter, freer, and grounded in the present. The Buddha once said, "Holding onto anger is like drinking poison, and expecting the other person to die." Harsh as it sounds, it's deeply true. Think back to the last time someone hurt you, a betrayal, a cruel remark, or a careless act. How many hours, how many days did you replay that moment? Rehearse your perfect comeback. Craft the ideal revenge in your mind? Letting go is the antidote to that cycle. It doesn't change what happened, but it allows you to move forward, instead of staying stuck in an emotional trap of your own making. Example: a colleague takes credit for your work. You could let that injustice ruin your entire week. Or, you could choose to let it go, and remind yourself that your value doesn't come from immediate recognition, it comes from within. Lao Tzu also said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." Letting go isn't just about resentment. It's about letting go of perfectionism, fear of failure, or the need to control everything. It's about accepting life as it is, not perfect, sometimes messy, but always full of opportunities to grow. So how do you practice the art of letting go? 1. Acknowledge your feelings. Don't suppress them. Allow yourself to feel pain, anger, or disappointment, but don't let them define you. 2. Shift your perspective. Ask, what can I learn from this experience? How can I come out stronger? 3. Return to the present. The past is gone. The future isn't here yet. But the present is yours. And in this moment, you get to choose to carry your anger or to set it down. Picture a balloon in your hand. The longer you grip it, the more tension you feel. But once you let go, it floats upward, and you feel lighter. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Let go, and you will find peace." Letting go is not weakness. It's knowing where to place your energy. And when you stop trying to rewrite the past, you make room for something new. So next time you catch yourself clinging to a grudge, ask, is this really worth my peace? What would my life feel like if I set this down? The answer might be the key to the emotional freedom you've been seeking. Because real power isn't in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go. And you'll find, the lighter you are, the stronger you become. And those are the 10 deep lessons to help you master your emotions, so you can live more steadily, calmly, and freely every day. These aren't just beautiful ideas, they are practical tools. You can use them anytime emotions rise, when the outside world grows loud, or when you need to reconnect with yourself. Remember, the goal isn't to become emotionless. It's to respond with wisdom, not react from impulse. Emotional mastery doesn't depend on circumstances, it depends on the choices you make. And that choice is always in your hands. As you move forward, carry these lessons with you. Pause before reacting. Set boundaries to protect your energy. Let go of what, and who, you can't control. Seedling each time you choose peace over anger. You take one more step toward the strongest, freest version of yourself. Sparkles. And if you're asking yourself, can I really do this? The answer is yes. You already are, right here, right now. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just start with how you respond to the smallest moments. Pause for 1 second before getting angry. Choose a clear boundary, a gentle no. Let go of what's past, and embrace the peace in the present. Headphone life will still bring challenges, but you won't be chasing every wave anymore. Because now, you're the one steering your emotional ship. Always remember, right finger peace isn't the absence of storms. It's the ability to stand in the storm without losing yourself. And if one day you forget these truths, come back to this video. Or better yet, come back to yourself. Thank you for listening, for showing up, and for taking one more step on your inner journey. I truly believe you are growing stronger every day, quietly, but powerfully, in your own way. See you in the next chapter, where we keep learning to stay calm in a chaotic world. Speech balloon. And if there's something you want to share, a moment that touched you, leave a comment. We're all here, together, wishing you a truly peaceful day. And don't forget, you deserve a life that is light, deep, and full of strength.